Hi, I'm Corey. Today we're starting part 2 of a new series on orcs. It's all based on this new book, Orcs, Conquerors of Elves and Men. In part 1, we talked about a lot of different things, including the differences of the Third Edition Orcs from the Second Edition Orcs. And one of the great lessons I've learned, I keep learning them, rather than having a table that kind of randomly gave you some elf-like powers, some innate magic, I thought, wouldn't it be fun just to have 14 different types of warriors and choose what you want and build towards what you want. Someday, if you want the Efreet flame color that costs 130 gold, so be it, go for it. You know, it's going to be you're going to be dedicated to that one character, but hey, it's going to be a lot of fun to play. I think we've hit the freebooter hard enough last video, so we're going to focus on the other 13. And the first couple is the Warlord and the Reaver. They now have identical ability scores. And I went that way because the Warlord should be the badass, right? He should be the one that takes over. Why not just make them equal? The Warlord's going to maintain a 2 psyche, so he's the genius of the clan. And then they're both going to get upgraded a bit on defense. They're going to bump up to 6. There's some distinct changes to the Warlord. They're no longer locked into Shield Rush, but now that's a single skill and you can self-select when you're ready to get that, or maybe never. I'd recommend it though. Both are now feral, so they only fail route feats on a 1 and no positive or negative modifiers apply, so it's 1 and you're done, or otherwise keep going, because these guys are just sociopaths. Warlords hold a little authority over their comrades, and so Con lets them grant a reroll to anybody within long range, and it's a free action. So unlike Command, it doesn't take their turn, it's just something they can do. The big improvement for the Reavers is the Gore skill. On the surface, it's great. It's +1 to injury. And if you do wound somebody, if the first wound is a KO, you get to redraw and try and make it worse. More shadow points for me when I do that. But the other thing is I can take a trophy. Now you could take a trophy with the old Gore, but all that did was give you shadow points and everybody forgot to do it. Now you can take that fresh trophy to a bloodsmith and they can infuse bone or bits of hair or teeth or whatever into a new weapon that they forge, and it will gain the magical benefits of the creature. Say I wounded direwolf, maybe I use its fangs or its bones, and that infuses new armor with the bone trait. Next up is the Scourge, and these are criminals, deserters, murderers, thieves, usually from the military, that serve time in the fighting pits. And so they've learned a lot of dirty fighting and ways to survive. And you may think, well, after the Cataclysm, pit fighting has gone away, but it really hasn't, because there still are large chunks of the military that have not disbanded, and they stay together and still follow the Yasa, which is the old system of laws. Give your Scourge some gauntlets right away. They are supposed to be the last in the war clan allowed to have armor, because they are thieves. They're not trusted with nice things. So get them those gauntlets, let them go to town with their 3 attacks. The new skill that they've got is grapple. Some think it's overpowered. Basically, it lets you wrestle and take a person to the ground and get extra damage and extra dice on the attacks since you have them under control. Of course, with every great thing, there's a downside. I get to find it all out myself. You can't use shield and parry when you're grappling somebody, obviously, the grappler or the grapplee. But more importantly is you're down on the ground and you give everybody an advantage to hit you. So when you're playing the pit, you might grapple and stun some guy, and then some other jerk in hobnail boots comes over and starts stamping on my hands and my head. And oh, it was a bad experience. I'm not sure I will ever grapple in the pit again. These guys also have expert proficiencies in everything. What they don't have is expertise in strength skills. So if your old trope was to make them 4 strength with champion, or you were going to take vanquish or any of that stuff, it doesn't combine. It won't stop you from adding gore or something really useful like that. Ogres are fantastic and very similar to all the stats that they had previously. The big news, I guess, is that they're now 6 defense. Biggest things to be aware of is the boulder rules have changed. They're no longer a siege missile, they're just a regular missile, so things like Firebrand can be applied to boulders, and you're going to upset a lot of people, so you're going to have fun with that. The ogres do have the strength proficiency, but they don't have access to all expert. They're just brutes. And they don't have the same level of training and finesse that the other orcs have. So let's talk about those spellcasters. Just a little background, I really didn't change the stats at all on the Shaman. What I saw happening a lot was, because the Shaman is the most versatile mage, it can get every school of magic. People thought that they had to do that. And they just got in this habit of buff spells. I can put Sanctify on you. I can put Firebrand on you. I can do this and that. And the shamans just kind of stand back and do nothing. And they never really realize those high magnitude fire spells. And so what I wanted to do was entice people to specialize. And that's what the Fire Magus does. Same stats, same ability scores. You have to make the pledge that you will never take any other school of magic. So you're a little bit better at fire magic, but I've also added 14 new fire spells. There's Flash that makes your guy a little bit faster. There's Fire Break that puts out fires so you don't need Banish anymore. There is a better version of Ring of Fire that they can learn. You can scald somebody if they're standing too close to water with a big old splash. There's a spell called Rain of Fire, which allows you to shoot arrows that catch on fire once they've left. And so if you're mounted, it won't spook your mount. And there's things like Out of the Ashes, which allows a warrior who's knocked out in battle and wounded, you can bring them back. And so a lot of cool things if you specialize. So that seems like a great place to wrap part 2. We've talked about all the existing warrior types and how they've changed, and the new Fire Magus that is also part of the game now. Part 3 of this video is going to take on all the new warrior types, the Bloodletter and 3 new Paragons and the Quartermaster and the Harbinger, and I think you're going to be excited to see the stuff that wasn't available before. So thanks for watching, and look forward to part 3 next week.